Hey everybody, it's Missy. Thanks so much for joining me today. Welcome to day 4 of 'Tis the Season. This is 12 days of holiday scrapping videos. It's a collaboration hosted by my good friend Audrey Yeager and 11 other awesome YouTube scrappers. And if you've missed any of the other days, I have the links of all the other participants down below. And I'm day 4. And I am going to be doing a Christmas page here today, and I'm going to be using these 2 pictures of my daughter from a few years ago. And if you notice, she's got on a Christmas shirt with a cute little tree on it. And so my thought was to recreate that tree using some ribbon. Now our challenges, each of our challenges for all of us for this event is to use the number of what day our video is. I'm number 4. To incorporate the number 4 somehow into our page. The actual number, the word 4 of something, however you want to interpret your number. And so I kind of go through a couple of different things here. I thought at first I would just use 4 different ribbon to create this tree, and then of course that went out the window, and you can clearly see that I'm using way more than 4. And this is just ribbon from my stash. I'm trying to recreate a fun little wonky mismatched tree here on a piece of packaging that some stickers came in. So the idea of 4 ribbon kind of went out the window, so I'll put the number 4 on hold and come back to that when I get to it. But I'm trying to use 4 colors. I thought I would use red, green, pink, and blue. Well, yellow comes into play soon too, so that number 4 idea shot. So all I'm doing here is choosing a couple ribbons. I cut each piece a little shorter than the first or the previous one, and I got a little rickrack going on there, and I'm just gluing these down onto this piece of white sticker backing here. And I'm doing this on some scrap paper here because I didn't want to stick it down to my cardstock or my paper and kind of decide I wanted to move it around. I wasn't quite sure, so I wanted to be able to move it around. So I did some stitching, and I've got red, I've got light blue, and I've got pink, and I did some zigzag and some straight stitching, and I'm going to cut each of these out. So, you know, if you know ribbon, it's very flimsy. And so now that I've got it attached to this paper here, it's going to be easier for me to move around, and it's going to be a lot stiffer, and I can work with it a little bit better. I'm sure there was an easier way to do this, but I took the long way around, which is what I normally do, and that's okay. The process is what's fun. So, okay, I've got some white cardstock here, and I'm going to try to decide where I want to build this tree. And there's going to be a yellow star at the top, just like on the shirt, and that's going to come later. Speaking of later, here it is. I just quickly drew a star on some more scrap paper here. I'm going to hand cut it out, and it's going to be wonky, which I like. I can never draw a perfect star, and I just wanted to do something quick, so I drew it and cut it out, and I like that it's kind of crooked. And I'm going to take some of my Shimmers products here. I've already got the colors that I want to use on this page, and I'm just going to dab a little bit of yellow, and that is Coloring's No Yoking. And I'm just using the nozzle to kind of wipe some yellow on there. And then I'm going to come over on top of that with Vibes Glorious Day, and that's a shimmery gold. And for some reason, the color red is hard for me to use. I'm not a big red fan, but clearly when you're dealing with Christmas, most times than not, you're going to have some red involved. And so I'm trying to make it work with other colors that I love, because I guess red's so bold and so dark, it's just hard for me to like. I don't hate it, but it's not my favorite color as far as scrapbooking goes. But you know, she's wearing a Christmas shirt. I had to print these in color, so that's what I'm going to work with. And I look at it as a challenge. So my thought here was to have the tree on the left and then some mixed media watercolor things going on the right behind the 2 pictures. And so I'm doing what I always do here. I'm using the packaging and some shimmers. I've got some pink Vibes Sweetheart. I've got some red Coloring's My Bleeding Heart. And these are all going to be softer than the ribbon colors because clearly they're liquid. They're not going to be as bold. And if I wanted them to be bolder, I could certainly continue to go over them several times and make them darker. That's Jenny B Blue there that I just used. So I decided the red almost looked kind of pink, and so I'm going to go back over that with one of the aqua hues, and that's called Seeing Red, and just make it a little darker. Again, I didn't want it to look too dark. I didn't want it to look bloody, and it still dries kind of light, so it works out. This is a Creamies in Ride the Tide. That's a light blue. And I'm just trying to match the colors that I've got going on in the ribbon there. That green ribbon is not as neon as it looks in my light. It's a satiny ribbon, and so it's going to shine, but it's a really pretty green. It's prettier in person than it is in this light. So anyway, honestly, at this point, I did not know if I liked this at all. I like the idea of the tree. I thought it was creative and cute, but I don't know. It does turn out in the end, and I know that happens to me a lot. But this one, I thought about starting over a few times, but I thought, no, just keep working with it and it will get better, and it does. And there is no shame in starting over. If it's something that you just don't like, then by all means, do something that you do like. So I didn't want to do any packaging technique with the green, but I did want to add a little bit of splattering, and that's the Don't Citron Me green. And that is a colorings. And once it dried, it almost looked like a neon green, and so I'm going to go back over it with this Creamies Let Us Get Together. And it's a little bit of a darker green. It matched a little bit better. And so I'm just going to add that so it tones down that lime color. Okay, so it's looking better once I add the photos on top of it. Now I know that my tree is going to go there on the left, so I'm going to go ahead and glue that down. And I'm glad, like I said earlier, I'm glad I did that first on a separate sheet, so it's easier to line these up and move them around. And I've already done my stitching, so I don't have to go back and do that again. I do add a little bit of foam behind my yellow star. And I know the tree's kind of, it's not perfectly straight, it's kind of crooked and wonky, but I like the way that looks. I wanted it to look kind of mismatched. So what am I going to do now? I'm going to go in with some layering, and these are all some cards that I got in a pack several months ago, maybe a year ago, from Hobby Lobby. It's me and my big ideas, and I just had to have these because of the colors. And I don't do Project Life or Pocket Pages or anything like that, but I definitely use these types of things in my layouts. And so all of these, they're not Christmas related at all, but they had the perfect colors. And so I'm going to kind of play with these for a while. I've got pink, red, blue, a little bit of green, I think, in there. And I'm just adding the layers, sticking them down. I want a little bit of each of those colors to kind of show as a border behind the pictures. And halfway through this layout, I realized that I didn't even use anything Christmassy in this layout as far as something Christmassy from a collection. I didn't use a specific collection. I didn't use any pattern paper. I don't think I even really use any Christmas stickers or embellishments. And so I thought, you know, this is kind of a challenge to create a Christmas layout using random things that aren't even Christmassy in the first place. And I think I achieved that eventually in the end. Alright, so before I glue my pictures down, I'm going to come in with some thread, and I'm using the light blue color. And I still haven't got to my 4 things yet. That's coming. So I thought I needed to do something to the background. This is the next day. I thought I need to put something to jazz up behind the pictures. And so I found this that I'd cut a long time ago. It's a scribbly circle on white cardstock. And I like the way that looks. And I thought, oh yeah, my tree needs a trunk. So I got some brown velvety ribbon. Hello, I couldn't think of what I was trying to say. And cut a couple pieces and made the trunk there. I scratched the circle idea and thought, wait a minute, I need more stars. That's what I'm going to go with. That's going to be my 4 things. I'm going to use 4 stars. And so I found that big white cut that I put behind the pictures in the Silhouette store. And I thought that was super cute. It'd be perfect for like a messy star layer. And then I hand drew and fussy cut out 2 more stars, like the star on top of the tree, and do the same thing to those with the yellow and the gold. And I thought I will have 4 stars, 3 yellow ones, and then the big white one. And technically, I'm going to use that flare button that you see there that has another star on it, but I have 4 paper stars. And another, technically, I guess you could say the big ones in the background are 2 stars put together, but it's 1 cut file, so I'm going to count it as 1. I'm stretching it here. But I do have 4 more things coming up, so I still abide by the rules. Okay, I need more thread. I need more thread. I'm coming in with some darker pink. Added some to the right and some to the left. Get all that glued down. And I like how that looks. I'm glad I almost colored the stars, the yellow gold color, the star in the background, I mean. But I'm glad I didn't. I like that I left it white because it's subtle and you can see it, but it doesn't compete with anything. It kind of blends in at the same time as it's standing out. Does that make sense? So I decided to use this little flare button. It's not Christmassy, like I said before. It's just white and yellow with a little star, and I thought it matched the star theme. And I add some pink thread under it, and it kind of fits right there on top of that picture because the way she's holding that water bottle up, her arm kind of curves in, and it fits perfectly right there. These are some Embellishing puffy stickers, and they're white with little tiny metallic gold polka dots on them. And I decided that my title needs to reflect the star theme, so it's going to be Twinkle Little Star. And I wanted small and subtle for my title, and so that's why I went with white, because I thought of making a scripty type title, but it might compete with the star in the background, so I didn't want to get too busy. So I pull out these stickers. I don't know how old they are. You probably have them in your stash. They're just white glittery foam stickers, and I'm going to paint the bottom of these with the blue color, and I'm going to paint the word star. So I thought I would make these a little bigger, and that light blue color was a little too subtle, so I add a little bit of the Jenny Bee blue just to give these a little bit of interest and color, so they're not solid white, since my background is white and the other letters are white. And that worked perfectly. And these stickers, even though they're old, they really stuck really well. More splatters here. That's the yellow and the gold. I almost left that side of the layout without any splatters, but you know me, I can't do that. I had to add some. Okay, I decided to add a little bit of color to the puffy stickers, and so I grabbed a gelato and just kind of scribbled onto the letters and smudged it with my pinky. Or not my pinky. I never use my pinky. Why did I say that? My finger. Whatever finger that is. My bird finger. So I've got blue on the twinkle and pink on the little, and it just adds a little bit of interest. Then I continue to get crazy with color here and add a little bit of yellow to the top of star, and it's very subtle. You can see it more in person. And to make those words stand out a little more, I'm just going to take my pencil and kind of do a little bit of shadowing there. Add a little bit of journaling. And I did fail to mention that in the right picture you can tell that my child is not wearing any pants. She still to this day doesn't like to wear pants, and at any given moment if you stop by my house, chances are she would not be wearing them. That's just her thing. I put them back on her and she takes them back off. But anyway, this is something I use a lot. It's my little sticker book that I got from Michael's. It's the Tim Holtz phrase stickers, and several stickers in there. The phrases match perfectly, and I thought they were kind of Christmas related, even though they weren't. My other 4 things, I use 4 flare buttons. Yay me! And none of them are Christmas related. But there you go. I think I met my 4 criteria. I really love how this turned out. It was fun to do a Christmas layout without any Christmas type of things. I think I got the color scheme down, and I love the little sayings that those stickers have on them. So make sure you visit all the other scrappers down below to see all the other days. We go until December 12th. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.